I managed to track down the highly requested Generaider list. I know a lot of people are excited for that. We also have Ghoti Runick. I can't make this stuff up. We also have a ninja deck for you guys today as well. What a breakdown. Alright, to the 30% of you that have not smashed the living crap out of that subscribe button, smash it so you guys don't miss out. More OS content. Managed to join the Generaider group after waiting about a whole day, and we got our hands on the second place Generaider deck. And let me tell you, for this being a YCS grand finish, I'm very happy to see that this deck did what it was meant to do. And of course, they're playing a Silent Wabi tag down here, which is actually pretty nice. Giving this to your opponent, they're not going to have much of a chance to really have fun out here, per se. But it is nice to see that Generaiders, of all things, are getting some love. So we have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joyspring. We have one copy of Diviner of the Heralds with one copy of Har. We have one copy of Hela with triple copies of Laptor. We have one copy of Mardel. Then we have triple copies of Nibiru, one copy of Trice Harakari. We have one copy of Ungandar. We have triple copies of Vala. We have two copies of Book of Eclipse for your defensive options with triple copies of Dark Will and more. We have triple copies of Enemy Controller with triple copies of the Boss Stage. We have 1, 2, 3 Pot of Prosperity, one Terraforming with your triple Monstrosity. And then we have triple Infinite Impermanence and two copies of Good Old Standard Metaverse. Then we have two Lingareebos here because you kind of have to play these now. We have two copies of Enter Blafnir with one Utopic Future Draco. We have triple copies of the Generaider Boss of Shadows, and then we have one copy of Arise Heart. Then we have triple copies of Generaider Boss of Eternity, and then we have two copies of Good Old Zeus. Then we have triple copies of Fenrir, one copy of the Generaider Boss of Ice, triple Silent Wabi, we have one Change of Heart, two Cosmic Cyclone, one Appointer of the Red Lotus, and triple copies of Evenly Matched here. Wrapping this up. Now, if you remember the Lyrilisk Tri-Brigade deck from yesterday, this was their teammate that we had talked about. So it is, once again, very cool to see. And I mean, you can tell how anti-meta tacked out that this deck is, just to be able to try to get any sort of chance to keep up with the ever-pressuring and evolving metagame out here. So good stuff. Next up, we're going to be covering 38th place. Now, they were X1-1 going into the last round, and unfortunately things didn't really pan out for them. They unfortunately lost, but we're going to be covering their entire team here for everything that they played. And the first list, of course, here is Runick with I kid you not, yeah, we're playing Ghoti cards in this deck. We've really come a long way here just to kind of showcase the power of the metagame and the weird choices that you can get away with actually playing here. So we have two copies of Druisworm with triple copies of Magna Hut. We have triple copies of the Hoppier Squadron with one copy of Iron Dragon Tiamaton. We have one copy of Paces with two copies of Sheaf, and then we have one Snopius and one copy of Zep. Then we have one Darkhole, one Monster Gate with one Reasoning. We have triple copies of Runick Destruction with one Dispelling, triple copies of Runick Flashing Fire with triple Fountain. We also have triple copies of Freezing Curses with one Golden Droplet, two copies of Slumber with one Smiting Storm, and then we have triple copies of Just the Tip, along with triple copies of Infinite Permanence here. And then we have one copy of the White Aurora Whale, one Cheng Ying with one copy of Omega. We have one copy of Ghoti of the Deep Beyond. We have one Cupid Pitch with one Baron. We have two copies of Ascan and two copies of the Aran Posts. And then we have two Hugin and triple copies of my friend Gary. Then we have triple copies of the Laviest of Lava Golems, triple copies of the Majesty's Fiend, triple copies of Cosmic Cyclone, your triple Lightning Storm, and triple copies of Dimensional Barrier here, wrapping up this list. And all real things considered here, your defensive options for this deck are going to be very, very strong. It's going to be the reason why a deck like this can actually work. Also, you know, the fact that you're just going to get access to these random power synchros out here as you climb on up to set up would be very good defensive options to stop your opponent from getting the chance to play the game. And like I said, very, very, very strong and very, very unexpected. Now, next up is... disclaimer here, I think this is one of the weirdest Labyrinth lists that we've seen, because most of the modern era builds have kind of stripped out a lot of the fat here. We don't have Chaos Angel yet, so we can't really treat the Stove as a tuner monster. Now, if we had Chaos Angel, this would be a much different story, I feel like, here. But they are focusing more on, like, the one-of aspects of the trap cards, getting the chance to pull them out. And they are also playing a Vivid Tale here. So that you target one card you control, return it to the hand. If this card is in your graveyard, you can target one face card you control, control, set this card, but banish it when it leaves the field, and return that face-up card to the hand, but for the rest of this turn you can activate cards or the effects of that card with the same name that the card had once it returned to the hand. So it's going to give you the ability to start triggering back, bouncing back, these effects, so you can go ahead and essentially recycle them, start playing the game. So we have one Ariane with triple copies of Ariana. We have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring with triple copies of the Chandelier. We have triple copies of my Cuckoo Clock and triple copies of my Angry Stove. Then we have triple copies of Lady Labyrinth, one Lovely Labyrinth with triple copies of Nibiru. We have one Called by the Grave with one Labyrinth. We have triple copies of Pot of Extravagance with one copy of the Archfiend's Ghastly Glitch. We have triple copies of Big Welcome Labyrinth with one Destructive Daruma Cannon. You have your one Dimensional Barrier with your one EEV. We have triple copies of Imperm, one copy of the Vivid Tale with triple copies of Welcome Labyrinth. And then we have two News Reporter, one Unicorn with one Phoenix, one Cerberus with two copies of Buguska. We have one copy of the Agorigator, one Omega, and then we have two Garuda and triple copies of the Inits. And then we have triple copies of Ghost Sister and Spooky Dogwood, triple copies of Book of Eclipse, triple copies of Ultimate Slayer, one DDV with one Punishment. We have triple Evenly Matched, and one copy of the Ice Dragon's Prison here, wrapping up probably one of the weirder versions of this deck that I've seen, but it's still nonetheless pretty impressive at the end of the day that this got the chance to work out here. And then we have a ninja deck. Coming out of the woodwork here and seeing the different ideas that players are kind of putting to the ground here for Ninja, I will tell you that I've had so many people tell me that you need to have more than one green ninja in the list, but this duelist beat that norm that I've been told for so long. And once again, when it kind of comes down to your card choices for things that you need to do for Ninja, this is actually pretty impressive. And yes, we do have the Destructive Daruma Cannon in here as a 3 of. This is going to give this deck some pretty powerful oomph, and that's kind of a good thing here. So we have triple copies of Ash, Blossom, and Joy Spring with your one copy of Baku, the Beast Ninja. We have one copy of Basic Green Ninja with two copies of Geo, the Gravity Ninja. We also have one copy of Kagura, the Cannon Ninja. And then we have two copies of Mitsu. Mitsu being a 2 of is pretty normal, I feel like. We also have triple copies of Nibiru. We have triple copies of Hanzo. We have triple copies of Tobari. Triple copies of Book of Moon. We also have triple copies of the Notebook of Mystery with one copy of the best equipped card. Can't believe this is like the only good equipped card that we have in the current era besides, the Noble Sword. We also have triple Pot of Prosperity with your one Rhoda. We have triple copies of the Daruma Cannon, triple Infinite Permanence with your triple Dancing Leaves, and one copy of the Art of Duplication. Extra deck down here, you got the triple copies of Saizo, two copies of Lingaribo with one Nightmare Unicorn, one Cross Sheep with one Boral Sword. We have the one Axis Code with the two triple copies of the Yagamaru and triple copies of Maizen. Then we have two copies of Spooky Dogwood, one copy of the Tenchi, triple Dimensional Barrier, triple copies of Evenly Matched, triple Solemn Judgment, and triple copies of There Can Only Be One here. Wrapping up your take on ninjas, and do not underestimate what the ninja deck will do, because my favorite saying on this channel, if a deck catches you with your pants down, that's on you, alright? You knew perfectly well what you needed to do to beat this deck had you had proper ninjutsu training. Yeah, we just went there. And the last we have for you guys here was Shannon Long's Marincess deck. Now, I know a lot of people have already seen this. That's fine. I wanted to go ahead and kind of showcase this too, because you don't see Marincess anymore. Like, so many people have just picked up their Marincess decks and like, I'm not going to play this anymore. Well, one duelist actually got the chance to do something, especially when you're going into a barren landscape format where players don't really have much of an idea of what's going on. You're going to see random occurrences like this just throw people for a loop, and that's hilarious to me. So we have triple copies of Ash, Blossom, and Joy Spring. We have triple copies of Contaxi with triple copies of Effect Veiler. We have triple copies of Blue Tang with two copies of the Mandarin. We have one copy of Pascalis with triple copies of the Seahorse. We have triple copies of the Spring Girl with triple copies of Nibiru. We have triple copies of Book of Eclipse, your one Called By, triple Signet Mining with your one Battle Ocean, two Dive, triple Imperm, and triple copies of the Wave. Then we have one Zelantis, one Splash Mage, two Sea Angel with one Marbled Rock. We have one Bubble Reef with one Crystal Heart, one Coral Triangle with a triple Coral Anemone, triple copies copies of the Blue Slug, and 1 Argonaut. Then we have the 2 Lancia, triple copies of Droll, triple copies of Droplet with 1 Feather Duster, your triple evenly matched, and triple copies of Gozen Match here. Wrapping up, well, your chunk of goodies out of this event. So what do you guys think about everything out of this YCS? This should wrap up me talking about deck profiles out of this weekend, but now that we've had the chance to see more of the diversity and everything kind of settle on in here, I'm going to be honest with you, I like where this format's gone. And, of course, insert crying Tier Elements player going, no, I want the old format back. Peace out, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.